Morning, everyone. We're gonna start, open the, first thing on the agenda will be the Columbia County Capital Resource Cooperation. And this will be the Finance Committee. And the first thing we need to do is, first and second for the draft minutes for February 4th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, treasurer's report.
As you can see, we received the $5,000 grant from CEDC to keep the CRC in existence. We expended the funds for purposes of completing the annual audit and accounting and our insurance. And we have $382 in our checking account. And we're hopeful that there are several projects that we're hopeful may need to use the CRC. One is we continue to talk with the hospital about aspects of their expansion. That was the last organization that used the CRC. The CRC is really a IDA for not-for-profits. There was a point in time where not-for-profit organizations could go through IDAs, but either there was a court decision or a legislative change that prohibited it, so the state legislature set up capital resource corporations. There is the potential Galvin project in the city of Hudson for the community theater. That would be a not-for-profit. That would be something that the city IDA would not be able to do because it's a not-for-profit project and they don't have a CRC. If over the course of 10 years, CEDC contributes $5,000 a year and we put in 50 grand, and someone can do a $20 million project, there's a $200,000 fee. So it's kind of, do you close the thing down and never get it back if you needed it? Or do you continue to keep it going? So, for benefit of the public and a refresher for all of us, that's where we are from a financial standpoint. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So I'm gonna need a first and a second, a motion
Motion.
and second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And the budget?
The budget,
26.
Lisa is required to submit on behalf of each of the organizations that CEDC operates and manages an annual budget by October 31st of each year. To get ahead of that, and in case there's no business for our October meeting and it gets canceled, we wanted to approve the budget today. Again, we show the $5,000 administrative fee from CEDC, and we show the expenses, and we show a net profit of $5,000 or $5.
Good job.
Thanks. And so I recommend that the budget be approved.
Motion to approve.
Approve, second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and administrative director's report?
I included the pertinent administrative director report within the confines of the discussion we've already had, so I yield that time back to you.
Thank you. Okay, any public comments? I don't believe there's anybody on.
We have Nadine Ziegler on the line here from Hudson Russ in connection with the IDA meeting and the Clock Estate agenda item. She'll be there with us until we'll move this along so we can get
Okay.
Nadine in and out of the meeting.
All right, without further ado, need a motion and a second to close the finance committee.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Right along, we have the CRC full board. First thing, the draft minutes from March 11, 2025. Need a motion and a second to approve.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, treasurer's report.
Mr. Chairman, I request that the board approve the treasurer's report as presented at the finance committee meeting.
Okay. I'm gonna need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Same, we have the budget.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that the board approve the budget as discussed and approved and recommended by the finance committee.
Okay, motion and a second to approve.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And we have Mike's director's report, administrative director's report.
Again, I would ask that the minutes reflect that the report was presented during the finance committee and all board members were present. Okay.
Any public comments? No one's on. Also, I will need a motion and a second to close the full board meeting, CRC full board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving right along, we have the IDA Finance Committee agenda. And first thing up is the minutes from February 4th, 2025. Need a motion and a second to approve.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have treasurer's report.
Mr. Chairman, in the balance sheet, you'll see that we have $51,000 in the bank. And we have $2,500 of current accounts payable. In addition to $28,000 due to CEDC. As you know, we've temporarily suspended our fee for the last year and a half. And we anticipate that, you know, if we are able to move forward with one or more of the 3 or 4 projects that we're in discussion on, there would be at least the, you know, $200,000 to $250,000 fee if one of those is closed, and that CDC would be repaid at that time. With respect to the current January through June profit and loss statement on the next page, we did receive administrative fees, we did receive application fee, but we also had our accounting and audit, the accrual of the administrative CEDC fee, insurance and $33 in office expense, showing a negative $13,000 for the 6 months, January through June. Again, CEDC is deferring its administrative fee, and we did use available cash from the bank accounts to pay the insurance and the accounting. We also received pilot receipts of $92,000. Those receipts are received, and then our bookkeeper, Kat Lyden, who's here today, takes those funds and based on the formulas in the pilot agreements and the tax rates in the respective municipalities, distributes the pilot payments that we receive to the individual communities based on the agreements. As you'll see, we had net income of negative 13.6 based on the details that I described.
I think our video's frozen.
Oh, it's okay here, but the stream is okay.
Okay.
All right. So what we need is a motion, a second to accept the treasurer's report.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the 2026 budget.
Again, not knowing exactly what projects, if any, we would be receive, we put a place saver of $25,000 in fees in the budget to cover the $30,000 in expenses. So we have 25 in administrative fees and 5,000 in applications. It's just too difficult to anticipate how many 1% project fees you're going to get. So this is how we've been doing it, and the ABO doesn't seem to get upset about. I'd rather be here that we're have a zero budget than to put $250,000 in project fees and then show that you had a $220,000 loss at the end of the year based on a budget comparison. So I recommend that we approve the budget as presented.
Okay, all those need a motion in a second?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Okay. Now, is any public comment? Then-
Motion to adjourn.
No.
Okay.
You said you got somebody's,
Yeah, well, you gotta start the next
the
meeting.
next meeting, okay. All right, so, no comment, we need a motion, a second to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have the IDA full board meeting. And first thing on the agenda would be the draft minutes for May 6, 2025. I need a motion and a second to approve.
Motion.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Next, have treasurer's report.
Chairman, the treasurer's report, was presented at the finance committee, and the finance committee has, recommended it for approval.
Need a motion and a second to amend the treasurer's report.
Motion.
Second,
Okay.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. That's all right. Better than what comes up sometimes. Um, Just take a brief minute here to get Nadine back.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
It's
Great.
just our,
I just put this, yeah. Hi Nadine,
Hi, how are you?
good.
Don't like this haze.
Technical difficulty here in the room, but apparently we're still recording.
Yeah.
Great. Joining us today is Nadine Ziegler with Hodgson Russ. We have an item on the agenda at the request of Clock Estates. I know John Frischkoff was hoping to join us, but he was heading to Rochester to a memorial service. Clock Estates is requesting an extension of their sales tax exemption. When the project was initially approved, there was approval for a sales tax exemption of up to $700,000. We cannot exceed that once it's set. But we have confirmed with John that they are about $380,000 of sales tax that exemptions that they've utilized to date. And therefore, there's adequate room to approve this through December 30th, 2025, with the understanding that they can't exceed the original $700,000 grant. You'll recall that the project, they have started their pilot payments. We started them in September. Once the building was completed and was open for business. They do the underlying land, which, as you know, normally is not exempt based on the pilot, but the developer pays taxes on the land as if there was no project there, and the improvement, the only thing that the pilot covers are the improvements. He benefits from the fact that the land is subject to significant ag exemptions. So we did have to figure out with the assessor in the town and with help from the Suzette Booty at the Real Property Tax Office, what the land was worth minus the exemptions plus the pilot payment. In addition, the project is IDAs. We don't exempt projects from special district assessments. So he did pay approximately, and the ag exemption doesn't work for the fire tax. So he did pay about $8,000 in fire tax. And he questioned why that wasn't exempt, but then we reminded him and showed him the small print in the documents. Hey, Dean, is this something that occurs from time to time with projects where the IDA is requested to extend the deadline for the sales tax exemption? And is there any issue that you see with us taking that action today?
No, there's no issue and it's quite, I'm sorry. It's quite
We can
often.
hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's quite often that we get this request for extension of sales tax benefit, the completion date.
Again, knowing that they can't exceed the cap that was originally
Right.
set and they were.
if they think they're going to be exceeding the amount they've already been approved for, they can come to the IDA and ask for additional benefits. So we can amend the existing documents to add additional benefits. And if those benefits exceed 100,000, then we'll need to have a public hearing. That happens occasionally as well. We do that as well.
And at this point, that's not anticipated.
Yeah. So
Well, we
after,
appreciate you today to give us guidance and counsel.
after the resolution's adopted, I'll draft the modification agreement because we have to modify the lease documents and the sales tax letter to extend the completion date. I'll issue to them a new sales tax letter with a new completion date. And I need to make sure they have insurance in place before we give it to them.
Okay, we'll ask them for that.
Okay?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that the agency approve the request for an extension of sales tax exemption through December 31st, 2025.
Okay, so. No questions? Need a motion and a second to approve the sales tax exemption?
I'll make the motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. I'll second. Okay, along, we have the 2026 budget.
Yeah, in the interest of your time and our bill, Nadine, we will
Well, this is being billed to the company.
yeah. And we don't want to hear from him again about the
No,
bill.
no.
so,
Okay, you guys have a great day.
yeah, thank you so much. Have a
You're
great
welcome.
day.
Okay, bye-bye.
I wonder why you jumped right ahead.
Well, it was 8:46, so on 6-minute intervals, how many units of measure did they fill us? But
Okay.
we the 2026 budget, Chairman, is what we had the board approve it, the finance committee approved and recommended.
Yeah.
And again, I recommend that the board accept that recommendation and approve the budget.
Okay, need a motion and a second to approve the 2026 budget.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Administrative Director's report, Mike.
One of the things that, it's not directly related to, what the county IDA does, but I did ask Chris Brown if he would do a brief presentation, which he also did for the CEDC board on the, proposed transfer of property by the Galvin Foundation and, the Galvin Asset Management, which is a for-profit, arm of all their properties, with the exception of a handful, to Bard College as part of a gift to the foundation at Bard. And Chris has been monitoring this both for CEDC and the city IDA, and I asked him to give that presentation to you briefly today.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So I'll go through the known knowns and the known unknowns. If you've not read anything about this, I'll just give the broad context, or if you have and you just want a refresher. So Galvin is proposing to donate a number of their properties to Bard. These are properties both within the city of Hudson and throughout Columbia County, and I'll talk about a couple of the ones that are outside of the city. It's not their entire portfolio. There are a few that we know that they're going to hold back. One of those is, as Mike mentioned, the community theater, or what will be the community theater, the old tennis courts, the 4th Street Hotel complex, which is basically from Warren to State, that entire block of 4th Street, including what was the Helsinki. They didn't get Basilica. So they'll keep those two, and then also Crosswinds just outside of town. And then out in the county, they have the Galvin Civic Motel, which is technically in Greenport. And then also High Point Senior Gardens in Chatham, that's behind the Price Chopper there. So these are a couple of other assets that they've got throughout the county. There is a due diligence period that Bard has entered into. Some of this is just title searches, some of this is appraisals. It's basically a valuation of what the portfolio is going to be. 90 days gets quoted a lot. I've seen their CFO say this may take as long as 6 months. So there might not be a real clear picture of what these properties are going to be until close to the end of the year, if not the beginning of next year. As Mike mentioned, their CFO was quoted in the paper as saying, if you would like some of these properties, contact us. As far as anyone knows, there's no real concrete plan for what they want to do with these. It's a really big portfolio. It's a mix of residential, commercial, and civic buildings. The library is one of those civic buildings. They have expressed specifically that they do not want to use these buildings for student housing, and they don't want to use these for faculty housing. So there's close to 90 properties, I think we figured out in this portfolio. Galvin's got about 5 different corporate names that they own properties under. So it comes close to about 90 properties or so. And we know they're going to keep those 3 or 4 out. So part is looking at potentially taking on 80 properties. They are unlikely to take on the whole portfolio, which raises the next interesting question of, will Galvin still want to donate those properties to someone else? Will they go on the market? That is a very unknown at this point. But right now, BART's open to ideas. There are a couple of organizations that are working pitches up to BART about what they can do either administratively with these buildings or who they could potentially dispose these properties to, both on the private side and on the nonprofit side. That is everything that I know.
I think, it will have a major impact, on the city one way or the other. I think, at the time, several city officials thought that it was something that, could be a real positive. One, it gets beyond Galvin and, unfortunately, although I feel they've done, a lot of good, there are things that, they have done that have impeded, development in the city by acquiring so many properties and the pace at which, they were able to redevelop them. But when you look at the library, when you look at the housing project here, I mean, there's a lot of things that have been positive. I also think that it will open up development and perhaps buildings that could be renovated and utilized as rental properties. Could benefit the tremendous housing crisis both in Hudson and the county. So, I think you never know what change is going to bring, but I think there's an opportunity here.
There's one other piece of this too that I should mention, Galvin Housing Foundations, so Galvin owns a lot of properties, but they also provide a lot of services throughout the county as Columbia County's Rural Preservation Company. That's business as usual. So they are applying for grants in this grant cycle. They are still doing foreclosure prevention counseling, still doing home buyer counseling. So that side of the business seems to be unaffected by this portfolio donation. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Any questions or?
Any idea on the time frame?
Of when BART will decide?
Yeah.
Probably, I would imagine it will take closer to the 6 months than that is.
But again, it depends how quickly they need to demonstrate to the other side of the matching grant.
Mhm.
And they may just have to say we're taking them so that they get credit with SORS on this grant. So, and figure it out later. And then I guess it also depends if they are doing appraisals, what the appraisal value comes up, if it's short.
Right,
So,
and they might do it in phases where they prioritize some property.
I know that discussion is the city should take over the library, but the city doesn't have the resources to do that, and it was never a city library to begin with. It was a library association. In many communities, the library is part of the school district, but that's not the case in a city. Usually that's in a central school district environment. And so, I do think it will be a rearrangement of certain relationships and ownership. And again, I know some of the not-for-profit organizations that are being rent from Galvin, below market rents are concerned. I know, individuals who are renting with a fixed lease are concerned what happens when that lease is up. So I know on a personal level for people, it brings a lot of uncertainty, which, is never good, especially during, difficult economic times.
My favorite coffee shop is one of their tenants, so I have a very vested interest in how this plays out.
So he's looking into buying it.
No, it's gonna be a big change. I mean, I was thinking the same thing is Eric rents these places and does everything subpar and, college, and That was my next question. How can they can't afford to do that, I would assume.
I don't, the college has indicated that they're not terribly interested in being landlords. So I think this will be more of a pipeline transaction than just, I don't think they'll hold on to these assets for terribly long, but that's just pure. That's
And
guesswork.
the other thing is, as a not-for-profit, unrelated business income is taxable.
Right.
And so, they're not in the business of, running a residential real estate portfolio.
Well, one of the big ones that we is next door, and
There's an equity interest, and that, I think that, if they kept that, they would end up, at the end of each year getting a check as a limited partner. Bard would, if they kept that interest, but the other partners in that project may want to get Bard out, so they don't have someone that they didn't originally agree to be a partner with as their investor.
okay. Next, we got the Healy Boulevard. Project.
You'll recall that, the Baxter Development Group, and Kempner out of White Plains came in and, they did submit an application. At our last meeting, the board approved, establishment of a date for a public hearing, which we have not established yet. I did meet with the town supervisor, and, the assessor and the planning board chair. We're in the process of scheduling a meeting, with them, with the town, with Baxter, to discuss their plan, as well as to, discuss, the town's position with respect to the proposed pilot. We would then have the public hearing, and then, at that point, depending on what comments are received, by the IDA from the town and the public, we would have to have a discussion and a negotiation with respect to the terms of that, pilot. I think one of the things that they have to take a look at is with respect, to all of the incentives that they're seeking, are they going to come up against the, more recent state, law that was passed? That to the extent a project receives more than 30% in federal, state, and local incentives, that they have to pay prevailing wage and have a labor agreement. And so I think, to the extent that they're, whatever other incentives they're looking for beyond the mortgage reporting tax, the sales tax, and the pilot benefit, that was one of the issues that came up with Redburn, that they were getting up to 28 to 29%, and they weren't gonna take the risk that they go over that and then get penalized or fined for exceeding that 30% test without having used labor union. So, but it's really gonna be up to the town, and what commitments the developer's willing to make with respect to restricting income and rents. So that, the city IDA has been faced with this several times now. They just closed on the Providence Hall and Skylar Court projects. They were purchased by a developer, K&R Development, out of New York City. Their model is to come in and buy Section 8 projects that have reached their 30-year life. They purchase the project and they come in with significant capital and renovate each of the units with people in place. It's a very interesting concept. They've done it in Herkimer and Kingston and other places. The mayor of Kingston and Herkimer told us, what a great job they've done. They just had a meeting with the tenants. I didn't hear how that went, but today everybody gets a new refrigerator. Tomorrow everybody gets a new stove. Today we're painting all the bedrooms. And they set up the community room in a way that the tenant can, has a place to go for the day while the workmen are in their unit. They agreed to a 30-year commitment to retaining it as a Section 8 project. And in consideration of that, the IDA approved a pilot agreement based on what's called it's a 7% pilot of what's called shelter rent. And shelter rent is the gross rent minus utilities. So, if you have 150 units, at $1,500 a month times 12, that's 2.7 million. say there's, $250,000 in utilities that come off of that. And you multiply that by 7%, the pilot payment is $171,000. Dividing that by 150 units, that's $1,100 a unit. Some of the projects that we've seen, whether it be 178 Healy, the proposed pilot that the city IDA application had just received for the JL Edwards School to renovate that into 65 senior units at 60% of median income. They're looking for $400 or $500 a unit first year payment. So I do think more and more IDAs are going to have to go out and get economic analysis to show exactly how much a project needs and what they're willing to commit to in terms of affordability. One of the concerns has been on a generic basis is if an IDA locks into a 15, 20 or 30-year pilot and the developer agrees to certain income or rent restrictions, what happens if and that the pilot is based on that first year with a fixed payment? What if in year 5 it goes market rent and the developer is paying based on having given the IDA a commitment that they were going to restrict the rent? The other issue that comes up is with an IDA project where you're fixing the pilot payment on the first year assessment with a 2% escalator. What if at the end of the 10-year pilot, and this is for any project, the appreciation of that project goes up at 5% or 10% instead of the 2%. And now year 11, the developer's real estate tax payment is double what they were paying under the previous schedule. And now you put them out of business because they don't have the ability to pay the increased tax. So, the developer on the other side of that coin needs the fixed payment security, or the bank's not going to give them the loan because, they can't be looking at the risk from the whimsical position of a new assessor. So if the assessor decides to leave and the new assessor comes in and says, oh, that's worth double. If the pilot payment wasn't on a fixed schedule, but we've got to find a way to somehow protect the IDA and the municipalities, that if during the course of those 10 years, something happens where enables the developer to get an additional benefit on their own P&L, that the community gets some percentage of that. So we're talking with other IDAs, and I do think Chris found a Clinton County IDA. They have 7 different pilot structures, but they've approved them in advance, so each one isn't a one-off. The risk of a one-off is, okay, you like a particular project and it has particular components or features, you give them that deal, and then the next person comes in and says, I want that deal, but it's not the same project. So, as we move forward and as we start to see more activity at the county IDA level, particularly in housing, I think at our October meeting, we should make a presentation, have Chris and I make a presentation on what we're seeing other IDAs do, so that either in the context of reviewing a project that comes before you before you decide if you want to set standard pilots for particular types of projects, you'll at least have some guardrails as to what others are doing in other communities. And in reality, what we did do for the city IDA with the project behind us is they provided their construction budget and a 10-year pro forma to a third-party consultant that the IDA picked, but the developer paid for, and it was a $18,000 study to cap the pilot based on a 7% rate of return. But again, if that's based on committing to a fixed rent payment, and we're not monitoring them over time to be sure that they don't double the rent and not tell anyone other than the tenant, how does the community not share and the additional cash flow that the developer is getting after it committed to give them a break because they had committed to a different rent schedule. So I think, you know, we want to help projects, but we also want to be sure that there's some equitable adjustment mechanism over the period of time, and that also, again, helps the developer not find themselves basing a project on a $4 million assessment, escalating at 2%, and at the 11th year, it's a $20 million project, and there's no ability at that point to absorb the increase in operating costs that result of unless they've been putting it away in a side fund, and you know, no real estate developers keeping cash flow beyond what's necessary for their bank, from my personal experience.
In the case, they were proposed on Haley Boulevard, 8 buildings. And
Right.
we talked about this. Suppose they went in there and put up 3.
Well, I think you, while it would be one project, I think you'd have to have a phased. You know, if it's so it's gonna be eight projects, you know, say each $24 million, each was worth 3 million. You'd almost have to do, okay, phase. They're gonna build 3 buildings at the begin, so that's a $9 million project. You base the fee on 9 million, you base the pilot on that. Then 3 years later, they come in and they wanna do 2 more. You know, at some point, I don't know how long you could keep a phase project open without having it as a subsequent phase. Especially if they come in with second and third phases where they wanna have a different ownership entity so that they can bring in different investors or banks. So I do think you're almost going to have to treat them as separate phases. And you wouldn't wanna put a pilot on it based on the assessed value of the cash flow of the project in 2027, when you know, the starting point on a project in 2029 is gonna be at a higher level. So you'd almost either have to have them break it into 2 or 3 separate IDA projects, or one IDA project where it's understood what the process will be when each building comes online. But again, we need the housing, and you know, I think the most recent what's the most recent update on rental? You did a review for one meeting we had where you said that if you looked at all the rental units in the county available, there were how many?
Oh, well, it was at the median worker salary, and I think there were, at the high end, there were 32 units available at basically the median wage. And we had about 700 jobs that paid that wage. So essentially was almost a 2-to-1 or 20-to-1 ratio of units to jobs, or jobs to units.
And you know, I've been telling people anecdotally that if you are making median wage and you don't have a place to live in Columbia County, you can't live here. You can't come and get a $20 an hour,
Yeah.
$20 an hour job and find a place that you could live in the county. And it's no better when you get to Greene, Ulster, Dutchess.
It's a little better in green, but yeah, it's not much.
And the answer is not to just increase wages, because businesses can't pass that on. As those of you who have been in business know.
So how does it factor in that they can't rent or having trouble renting here?
I think it's a marketing issue. I don't know, you know, I don't think, but we can discuss that.
Yes.
So, the other projects, on my report, are, let's see, where are we on? We did have, so that's Yellow Boulevard, the Philmont Knitting Mill project. That's a, event space, up on, the pond there. What's the pond called? Summit Lake.
So
They want to come in October, as I said. We had a long call with them yesterday. They're working on using EB-5 financing, which is the program that allows you to bring in foreign investment in return for green cards. And the Pocketbook Factory project used some of that. I also talked with them about, the opportunity zone, amendment, that'll go into effect next year, or 2 years from now,
I think it's 26.
26. But, there are only 2 census tracts in the county that are eligible right now for opportunity zone, and those are the 2 census blocks in the city of Hudson. Even though Philmont, if it was its own census tract, probably would qualify, based on the median income in the village.
January 1, 2027.
Yeah, I thought it was 2027. Again, I think, we continue to get inquiries, but, you need 10 inquiries to get 1 project these days, so we'll keep you posted. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my administrative report.
Okay, any public comment? See anyone? So at this point, we need a motion. And a second, close the meeting.
Motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.